What was the most disturbing thing found in a video game? When you first arrive at the mental hospital in Outlast, you stumble across 2 escaped patients fucking a corpse. They didn't appreciate being disturbed. You like to watch, you little sicko? You weren't invited to watch. That little room in the beginning of Outlast 2 where they would sacrifice babies and you walk over all the dead babies' bodies and it even makes little crunching sounds. Edit spelling and also holy Christ, thanks for the upvotes and awards everyone. That dude with the valve in the back of his head shown in intros of many Valve games. In Haunting Ground, if you die to your stalkers you can hear them in the background of the game over screen desecrating your body, while laughing or enjoying it. Having to drill a needle into your character's eye for some reason in Dead Space 2, and if you slightly fuck up the QTE, it drills your character's brain out and you die. In Until Dawn, when you read a note and discover that one of the 2 sisters had to eat the other's corpse in order to survive. Pretty disturbing. Not disturbing in the same sense of the others, but the silent ballerina slicers in BioShock creeped me out good and proper. There's one section where you walk across a huge room in ankle-deep water and there are some in there, posed. You walk across, with just the ambient sounds of Rapture which are creepy enough, pick up a thing on a little dry patch and turn around. Every one of those splicers is now facing you. Staring at you. And then they run at you. I panicked and fired my plasmid, the electric bolt one, and killed them all. And they all fall down without uttering a sound. Brr. There's a torture chamber behind a secret wall in Oblivion. As I progressed through it, it felt more sickening. Red Dead Nightmare. I had to take a break after the crying Sasquatch asked me to put him out of his misery because we had hunted all of his family. The aborted baby monster in Witcher 3. Well, Outlast literally had a necrophilia scene lol. The new Fallout games have some depressing holotapes. Fallout 4 has one very early in the game of a teenage girl who found out she was pregnant. Her family and the child's dad abandoned her, so she stayed in an abandoned ranger lodge, as the bombs fell. Fallout 76 has ones about a miner trapped in a mineshaft after the bombs fell. As you progress deeper into the mine you pick up tapes detailing him and other miners slowly dying. The last one is about the miner reminiscing about his first date, dance with his wife, and ends with him singing, "You Are My Sunshine," as he runs out of oxygen. Edit. Thank you all for the upvotes and awards. This is my best posting yet. I appreciate all the love. I think the talking fetus from the PT demo to be quite disturbing. That fucking piano from Mario 64. I found a letter on a dead body in Dishonored. It was a love letter from a husband to his wife. They had the same names as some friends of mine, a friend from HS and her husband whom I don't know all that well, so I thought that was neat. Then, I found another, throwaway character in Fallout 76 that had the same name as an old friend of mine, first and last, and the wiki shows he was born in our state. Creepy as fuck until I found out my friend's husband worked on both games. Evidently, they let you put personal Easter eggs in some games. I think the beginning of Evil Within 1 was pretty brutal and disturbing when you start out hanging upside down in that basement area and that big butcher dude slices another guy's throat in front of you, then walks away. You're hanging upside down squirming and can see the blood pouring out on the floor. The entirety of both of the Outlast games. There is some gruesome imagery in those games from people being strung up by their entrails to pits of dead babies, so I think those games take the unsettling cake. Murdering the Elephant Queen in It Takes Two was pretty dark. Psychonauts. When you go into Mila's mind. It's so fun and cheery until you find the hidden room where you find out about her past, how she used to work at an orphanage and it burned down while she was out shopping. Because of her psychic abilities she apparently heard all their screams. She tells you not to go further, and if you do go further you come to a room with a bunch of blobby creatures behind a cage whispering, "Help us, save us." She tells you that it's dangerous there, but luckily she has her nightmares under control. It was just so sad and shocking seeing something like that in a game I thought would be a happy and funny children's game. Though I guess the game did end up having a lot of twists which makes that scene seem like a pretty Psychonauts-ish thing now. In Red Dead Redemption 2, you can find a lady who used to be a prostitute, but as she got older, less men visited her so she wasn't getting much money, and she was getting pretty lonely. You can find her skeleton outside her cabin and apparently she killed herself by overdosing. There's also another one where you can find a daughter of a very rich family locked up in a toilet. She's possessed but she used to be happy and you can tell by finding pictures of her. This game is very sad sometimes. Where were you and what were you doing when 9/11 happened? In Brooklyn, walking my dog when the first plane hit, but I had no idea what the loud explosion I heard was until I got home and turned on the TV. I saw the second plane hit live on TV a few minutes later. I'm college. Woke up a little hungover, and the first tower was already down. I called my dad, who owned a convenience store, and he said, "Get gas now. It's gonna get ugly soon." I had a night class that didn't get cancelled for some reason. A Muslim girl who I hadn't heard speak in the first few classes asked to address the class and said, paraphrased, "People are going to start saying a lot of ugly and hateful things about Muslims. I hope you know this isn't who I am. This isn't who we are." These were madmen, who have nothing to do with me or anyone I've ever known. It was a fucked up day. I was at home watching NY Live on TV when the second plane hit. Then I got called into work when the Pentagon got hit. I was a rookie first responder in Northern Virginia. In medical residency delivery a baby. Wow. Mixed emotions. 5 blocks away in downtown NYC. When the first tower fell, I thought the smoke might be poisonous and could kill me. Inside the North Tower. Had just stepped out. Was heading to school. Was about 6 blocks from WTC when I heard screams and the first plane hit. Couldn't see anything but smoke where I was. So I headed toward school, right on the Hudson River, and kept going up north to Pier 25. Watched the tower burning from there. Then all of us, standing there on the WSH, watched the second plane come screeching in and hit the second tower. The rest of the day? Well, the rest of the week? Well, no. The rest of the year was pretty much a blur. In Calgary. Watched the fellow beside me go pale as a ghost. His son worked in the first building hit. Turns out the young man didn't go to work that day, but it was a hell of a time until his dad found that out. Freshman year of high school, computer class. The AV nerd twins found out first, and we turned on the TV. Saw the second tower get hit, realized it wasn't an accident and that this was our JFK moment. Before the end of the period the principal had made an announcement. I remember thinking, I'm going to remember this Joe's voice when people ask me where I was for the rest of my life. 20 years later and I was right. I was in German class. Someone came in and whispered something in our teacher's ear, and when the bell rang the halls were insanity. No one knew what was going on and the naive high school kid gossip was in full swing. My next class was history, and the first thing he said was, "You will remember exactly where you are right now, for the rest of your lives." He was right. World History class, 11th grade. Erie, Pennsylvania. I was in my dorm room, had slept in and missed my first class of the day, and got woken up by someone running down the hallway screaming, "The world is ending. Turn of your fucking TVs." Getting ready for math class freshman year. I was in 8th grade. A girl in my math class got a text from her mom saying about the planes hitting the towers. She told the teacher, who was annoyed about the phone, but checked into it. 2 minutes later we had 4 classes of student piled into the history teacher's room. He had the TV watching the news. Watched it all go from there. After like an hour or so, the principal made an announcement over the intercoms telling teachers to turn off TVs and radios. History teacher looks at us all and says, "If anyone wants to sit outside and not see this, you can, but this is too important to try and hide from you all." I still appreciate him for that. I'd relocated from the UK to Washington State in August 2001. On the morning of 9/11 I was in a temporary apartment in Redmond, WA. I remember the events of the day very clearly. The most vivid memory is of my mother calling to see if I was okay. I had to explain that America was pretty big and that I was about as far from NY as she was. In November I flew to NY on business and took a walk down to the south end of Manhattan. The city was understandably still in shock, and my enduring memory is of being haunted by the dust-covered cars on the streets that would obviously never be collected by their owners. At home in Upper Manhattan watching cartoons. Directly under the towers on the subway at Cortlandt Station when the first plane hit. I even looked at my watch when I was stopped at the station to make sure I could make it to work on time. It was 8:45 a.m. I didn't end up working at all that day. I was at work, radios were interrupted and we turned on TVs in the conference room. Was watching thing unfold as the plane hit the second tower. And then the Pentagon. Was just a flurry of WTF. I was a support engineer for a data backup company and I was heading into work that day. And #X200B. The worst parts were talking to people after who were directed by their management to recover the data on magnetic media that had been contaminated by the collapsed buildings. I had 3 people break down in tears on the phone with me over coworkers they lost. Left Manhattan 2 days before after deciding not to attend a financial conference. Keynote was at Windows of the World, top of the World Trade Center. Start time: 9 a.m., September 11. Just turned 18, in a casino in Perth, Western Australia. Grown men literally ran through the casino floor yelling, "We're going to war, boys," as the live shots of second plane then first tower collapsing played on the big screen. Surreal experience. Driving home within the hour, streets were strangely quiet. Stayed up watching the news coverage for hours.